What's good? What's good? What's good? Beautiful people. It's your main man, Big G, and I'm coming at you all the way live. Today, I have a talk topic that's um, vital, seriously important to artists that are working this independent model. And even if you're not working the independent model, if you're with a label um, that's not linked to a major, and even if you're with a major label, this is something that you have to pay attention to. And a lot of individuals don't pay attention to it because they don't know about it. I've spoken with quite a few individuals about how they go about registering their works of art. We're talking about your music. And I hear a lot of the same information when we go down the checklist of everything that you need to have in your in on in your process of getting these things done correctly or getting things done correctly. Um, and a lot of times, people just don't know. They just don't know. Um, so let's talk about a few things. You know, um, let's talk about a few things. Let's talk about. We're not going to talk about a few things. I'm gonna relegate this to one thing for today, because we have a host of different things that you need to pay attention to, specifically the registration with the Library of Congress, the U.S. Copyright Office. Um, I ask the question when I'm talking to artists, how do you go about your process? Are you registering um, with your PRO, whether it's ASCAP or BMI, if you're overseas, doesn't really make a difference. What what what's your process there? Who are you tapping in with to collect your royalties? I asked them if they're registered with the MLC, the RIAA. Are you a member? Have you applied to become a member of the RIAA? Do you have your ISRC created? Are you creating your own ISRC codes? Are you creating, or do you have a UPC code, your Universal Product Code? So the list goes on and on and on. And the one question I get to is, how are you, um, or have you uh, registered for your copyrights? And I get the same response for some reason. Um, when they say, yes, I've registered with United Masters, or I'm registered with DistroKid, and they take care of that for me. No, actually, they don't. So there's a misconception out there in terms of how this process works. So what I want to do today is I'm going to be on here real quick. It's not going to take me long to walk through this, but I want you to start paying attention to registering your work, and getting your certification or certificate of registration with the Library of Congress. Okay. I'm going to show you a form um, that you need to be getting in the mail if, in fact, you're doing this yourself, or if you have um, your organization or your team doing this for you. This is one integral part of how you secure your intellectual property. Everybody talks about IP, but they don't know how to secure their intellectual property correctly. So I'm going to show you this form, um, and we're going to walk through the importance of filing with See if I can get this in there so that you can see it. Okay. With the Library of Congress. All right. So this is a certificate of registration. Okay. This is what it looks like. All right. This is what it looks like. It's an SRU form. Okay. And you can see what the information says on there. I'm going to hold it up there for a second so that you can read it, so that you can see it clearly. All right. Give you a moment. Okay. Certificate of registration. All right. So this is, and I'll read it to you. This certificate issued under the seal of the Copyright Office is in accordance with Title 17, United States Code, attests that the registration has been made for the work identified below. Okay. The information of this certificate has been made as part of the Copyright Office records. It's pretty straightforward. Okay. It's an SRU form, and I'm going to put it back up here on the screen so you can see it again. It's an SRU form, and that's your registration number filed with the Library of Congress with this particular work. All right. And I'm using this particular work because this is one of the artists that I work with that has, given our organization, our label, the authority to file their copyrights, but we don't take ownership of anything because that's not how we play the game. We play the game the right way. We play by the rules. So I'm going to walk down this information so you can see exactly what I'm talking about when I say that. And I'm going to put it back up on the screen. Okay. Because there again, we're building. We're in the process of building our talent. We're building the people that we work with. We're wanting them to succeed, and we're not trying to take anything from them outside of what we both go out and work for and agree to. Hey, all right, if we're out here, we're hunting together. We're doing what we have to do as management, as your label. It is our job to make sure that we put you in the best position possible for you to win, in order for you to win, and making sure that your works or your songs, your records, your music is registered correctly in all aspects across the board. Today, we're just talking about copyrights. In all aspects across the board, it's being registered correctly, and it's being registered in your name. We have a claimant to it because we're a part of the process, but we are not the owners of the work. We want to make sure that you maintain your copyrights. So with this particular work, and this is I'm using XO Music as an example. Okay, my good friend XO Music. As you can see, sit there and so you can see this. All right. The title of the work is Go Crazy. The completion of the work was in 2024. And as you can see, the author of the work, is Erica Nelson. All right. And the copyright claimant of the work is Erica Nelson. All right. Okay. So that's who the author of the particular composition is, and the claimant, the copyright claimant, is Erica Nelson. All right. So we don't hold claim or hold stake to anything outside of what it is that we're working in conjunction with that artist to do. Okay. And to be, and what she's going to become, and making sure that she has full access and full control of her intellectual property. All right. And so the rights and permissions to the music, to use the music on the publishing side, because we publish the music. Okay. I'll put that up as well so that you can see this is all on the same form. Okay. Is our label. Okay. Freeway Records. All right. So that you can see that. All right. So once you see that information and you know, and we also have the tracking information, okay, so that you'll know how it's tracked, how this information is tracked. All right. And you guys could and should recognize numbers like that. That is the ISRC code that we create. We create our own ISRC codes. All right. So just to give you a broad stroke of how you truly and really protect your information. If you're not seeing an SRU form or in the mail, if you're not getting this type of information fed back to you from each piece of music that you produce or compilation of the body of work that you're actually pushing out, then your music isn't protected like you think. It's just what it is. Your music is not protected. Your intellectual property is not protected the way that you believe it to be. And I'm giving you a very quick and short example as to how, who you go um, submit this information to, which is the Library of Congress. If in fact you need assistance with doing this the right way, we're here for you. We're here to assist you. And there again, it costs to register your music with the Library of Congress. But at the same time, you know, we want to make sure that you're doing it the right way and not being duped into signing over your intellectual property to anyone. You're the author. The composition of the work is yours, and you're the authorized claimant to the music. So that's one integral step in this music registration process. We're talking about the business side of it in this music registration process, so that you're not taken advantage of in the long run. At the end of the run, you can look back and say, "Hey, man, I've done this the right way. I am the one that should be collecting the royalties off of my music if it's utilized and synced with um, 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 a movie or a commercial or whatever the case may be. I can receive my residuals off of that as well." But there again, what ends up happening, and people don't pay attention to this, is that form, that title registration form, that music registration form, that copyright form is much like you registering your vehicle. You get a title once you've bought the vehicle, you get a title of registration through the state. The state gives you a title. It's a form. As a matter of fact, I have one right here. I have one right here for a vehicle that's been paid for. I'm just give you an example. But if you've seen these types of forms for certificate of title, right, then you understand my point. My point is you can take said title, to the bank, and you can utilize that title with the vehicle in itself, because that becomes a commodity, and you can borrow against the title. You can borrow against the vehicle. You can take out a loan, and that's basically what the music industry is doing. They're taking the catalog of artists and music and the whole body of work. That's why a lot of labels, and we got a bunch of artists with a bunch of music, and they're really hot, and they're driving up the bottom line so that people can say, "Oh, okay, their catalog is dope, man. They got a lot of music in their catalog." Yeah, because they can go borrow against that catalog, because um, the sum total of monies that's coming in is a reflection of what they're going to make over a period of time, and any bank or venture capitalist can see that they can pay that back. They can pay that loan back. You see, it's not rocket science. It's just business. And if you understand how the business works, and I'm giving you some inside tips into how this really works. So if you have a catalog of, as one artist, you have a catalog of 100 songs, and all of those songs are producing revenue. Doesn't have to be a whole lot of money. It's just producing revenue, and you steady promote and market your music because you've branded yourself, and you can see where over time this music is going to hit a point to where it's bringing in X amount of dollars on a regular and consistent basis, whether it be through streaming, whether it be through you booking shows, whether it be through you selling your merchandise, apparel, all of the different components that come into play with that. Then you have to understand that you, just like you having a job and you go to the bank and you sit there and you're working on your credit score and you say, I want to borrow some money, I want a personal loan. They're going to ask you, okay, well, let's look at your credit score. Do you have a job? What kind of money are you making? This is what we can actually give you in terms of a loan. And this is what your interest rate is going to be. X, Y, Z. Very straightforward, very simple. Or if you want to borrow against the collateral that you have, which is your vehicle, you have a clean title. They say, okay, this vehicle is worth this. We can loan you X, Y, Z. You have a job. We can see where you can pay it back. If you don't pay it back, we'll take the vehicle. And then they sell a vehicle just to sit there and pay off the loan. So that's very straightforward in terms of how that side of the business works. Doesn't make it any different with you registering your music and having a title, because that's basically what this is. You having a title from the Library of Congress certifying certificate of registration. This is your title for your music, right? Saying, hey, I have ownership of this intellectual property. This is my commodity. I want to borrow against my tangible goods. And I'm going to continue to promote and push my music so that the dollar amounts continue to increase. And in my efforts, based on what I'm doing, I can utilize this money to further my career, to further what it is that I'm trying to get accomplished. And inevitably, I can pay back this loan by the music compositions that I have intact. And I am the owner of that intellectual property. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, if you need assistance with how this works, and this is just one part, this is just one part of it. You know, I'm giving you the bare bones truth to how this system really works. There are other components, like I said, that you have to have in place. Like I said, your ISRC codes. Make sure you're creating your own ISRC codes. You can't utilize DistroKid's ISRC codes. They might go out of business one day, or anyone else's for that matter, or someone else's UPC code. You can create these things yourself. If you're not registered with the MLC, if you're not encoding your music through Mediabase, and you need those tags, those numbers to actually put into the system when you're doing these things. If you're not a member of the RIAA, and you don't have to be, but I'm just telling you that in order for you to see monies coming in off of what you're doing, if you want to sit there, because a lot of people come to me with the handout situation. Oh, I need this. And if I had this amount of money to put into my marketing, this, that, and the other, you know, we're going through the roof. Okay, when I start going through the checklist and you don't have any of these things in place, now we ain't going nowhere but bankrupt, because you don't have any control of your own intellectual property. So that's where there's a disconnect between the artist, the talent, and the business, the administrative side of what needs to take place step by step in order for you to succeed in this business. And one of the key factors is registering your music with the Copyright Office, the U.S. Library of Congress. And those are some hardcore facts that a lot of artists aren't dealing with, and they don't want to deal with it because it's, to them, it's too much like work. If you don't want to work for it, you ain't gonna get it, and there's no sense in you giving me a call. There's no sense in you even attempting to call and talk to me, because we have to put in the work first before even attempting to put any of your music up on a DSP, if in fact you want to utilize that route. And that's a digital service provider. That's anybody that's going to disseminate your music or distribute your music through their networks. These are steps that you have to take before you even push your music out there. Protect yourself, protect your intellectual property, and do these things correctly, or else you're going to subject yourself to constantly being on that hamster wheel and asking yourself, man, why isn't anything happening? And why aren't labels taking me serious? Because they know that you don't know what the hell you're doing. And so when you get taken advantage of by an organization or by someone who knows what's going on, you sitting there with egg on your face and you're mad at the end of the day. Once you go get yourself educated and you're like, oh, that's what happened. So now you're mad at someone for taking advantage of you. So that's why I go through a step-by-step process. I can send you the entire skeleton of what it is that you need to do to register your music and to protect yourself. But there again, unless you do and participate in this activity the correct way, and you do it the right way, you're going to continue to come up with the same problems over and over and over again. So this is step one in a long list of things that have to take place before you actually register your music. And we'll go through the different things, but I came on here this morning just because I felt that this was an important one. This was an important one because I've been talking with a lot of different artists, and I'm hearing the same things that, hey, do you have your copyrights in place? Oh yeah. DistroKid did it for me, or Tidal did it for me, or United Masters did it for me. No, actually they didn't, and they don't. So don't fall victim or fall prey to believing something that's just imaginary, or you're thinking that this is how it happens. It doesn't happen that way. There again, as always, beautiful people, it's about health, wealth, and wellness. Y'all know what it is with me, man. Stay dangerous.